Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I thought we would have a look at the Black Friday 2020 bundle. This is a bundle which is out now, and obviously to celebrate Black Friday we have all of the black vehicles in the game. The Black Shark, the Black Cat, the Black Prince and the Black Widow all put into one convenient bundle. Now this bundle overall is $53.99 and it doesn't include any GE or premium account, so therefore you are just paying for these vehicles. I've got to say that this is one of the worst cost per value, I suppose, when it comes to the sales that generally happen for Gaijin. So unless you are very much interested in these vehicles, I would wait until further sales if you are looking into these things. But what we're going to do in this video is we're going to have a look at the vehicles, give my general impressions of them, and also give some insights. Another thing to also mention is each of the vehicles is a different price in the bundle itself. So for example, the Black Widow is $13.99, whereas the Black Prince is $32. So depending on which vehicles you already have, such as let's say if you have the KA50, the price will be different compared to before. So therefore that means that this thing might actually be value for you depending on what you've already purchased in the past. Another thing to mention is some of these vehicles are available for GE. Stuff like the Black Widow you can buy, and I believe also the Black Prince and maybe even the Black Cat are available for GE in the game. So if you want to purchase them separately, or if you want to wait for a 50% off premium sale, make sure to do so, because then you can save yourself some money and also at the same time, you know, save yourself from buying this pack. You don't get any extras out of this pack, you don't get any decals, you don't get anything. All you get is the vehicles. So just to make sure you know that. On average, these vehicles cost $13.50. So therefore, that is your general equivalent of these vehicles. From that price, obviously the K50 is worth that. I don't think any of the others are, but we'll go through why in here. So first of all, let's have a look at the vehicles. The first one is the P61. You can find it here. It is a rank 3 aircraft when it comes to War Thunder, and it sits at 2,500 GE if you want to buy it separately compared to all of the rest, and it's at the same rank as the BF-109 F4 and also the BTD-1, which are both much better grinders than the P61. When it comes to the RP cost, or the RP reward, sorry, the BTD is way higher than the P61. The BF-109 F4 is the same as the P61, but the applied performance of the BF-109 is so much better than the P61A1. 780% reward when it comes to its SL is incredibly strong for the P61, so that should be seen as very much, you know, a way to print SL. It's also got quite a cheap repair cost, and because it's a rank 3 vehicle, it's able to research all of this rank 4 and below. So the majority of the vehicles in the American tech tree, you can grind with this thing. I would also like to show you a graphical glitch that it has, if it works, when it comes to this test drive. I was using it earlier just to try and you know, see what it has on it. I have the standard tech tree P61. This is just a slightly worse version than it. It has the 450 cals on the top. It has the 20mm underneath in the form of 4 of them, and it still is a pretty good, you know, bomber hunter. That's basically what this P61 is when it comes to the game. It's generally not going to a machine which is able to fight against single-engine fighters and come out on top unless you use its airspawn very aggressively. And it's a way to try and get your team ahead in the battle. Now you can see there on the engine hubs, did you see that there? Let's try and get it sorted. Where they kind of like go in and out of existing. Whoop! There we go. There it is. It looks really dodgy, and I hope they fix that, because it is kind of annoying to look at. So Yeah, that is a little bit of a graphical glitch with this thing, and hopefully, as I said, they bug fix it quickly because it's a sold product. So yeah, the main thing to understand about this is it does have quite a unique playstyle to it. You do get an air spawn in the P61, which is pretty cool. You do have a very powerful radar, which you don't normally see at this BR when it comes to vehicles, the radar right in the front, and you do have a hell of a lot of firepower. This is one of the great counters to stuff like ME264s, to stuff like Griefs. The Tech Tree one is a lot better though, because it actually has much better performance when it comes to its engines, so therefore it's just easier to use in general. The 50 cals give also a unique experience. You can actually attack people in a turn fight, like when you are looping over them or when you're turning with them. You can sort out your 50 cals, so you're basically gunning them like Shrug music, and it's pretty cool. They did say at one point that they were going to give like some kind of modification or something like that to fix the 50 cals forward, so therefore you could have on top of the 20s the 50 cals, so you could have just a ton of firepower. That never happened, so hopefully at some point it does, but at least right now it doesn't. Modifications wise, this thing doesn't get access to bombs, it doesn't get access to any secondaries, so pretty much this is just a sole bomber hunter in Air RB or Air Arcade. This thing is useless in Ground RB, whereas other machines are much more useful. That's why it has stayed unpurchased for me. It has a very, very niche role in the game, and also at the same time, if I want something that gives me a very similar experience but in a better vehicle, I'll use the normal P61, which you can find right here at a slightly higher BR, which gives you increased performance by a lot because of its engines, and also some pretty nice bombs as well. So yeah, if you're looking at purchasing the P61 in this bundle, I would say there are better options, such as the XP50, such as the BF109F4, and even the BTD, that are all cheaper than it. So yeah, that is a bit of a problem. The next vehicle is the Black Cat, which is the M18. Now the M18 at 5.7, which you can find right here, is actually a pretty awesome vehicle. The M18 Black Cat runs alongside a lot of 5.7 vehicles for the Americans, the M4A376W for example, then also the standard Hellcat, then you could also throw in the Jumbo or the Slugger in there, the M42 if you feel like doing a bit of AA, and alongside it at 5.7 you have a ton of CAS options which are really, really strong. So stuff like the AD2, the Mauler, the A26s, the F4U4B, all of the P51s and the P47N, which is incredibly strong too. Then the P59A is an air superiority fighter, the P47Ms if you want to add either of them in, the AU1 if you're able to do that event. There is a ton of CAS options for this BR for America, which is why it's really fun to play. And what the Hellcat can do, alongside, you know, the other Hellcats and also the 76 and the Jumbo and the M36, is it can give you an initial advantage in the game, which you can push quite heavily. This is why, for me, the 5.3/5.7 lineup for America is really fun to play. It's one of those ones where you have like all the tools at your disposal to be able to do whatever you feel like when it comes to the game. You can either push hard at the beginning with the Hellcats and with the Black Cats, run around and do a ton of damage, and then get into a plane and try and follow up to win the battle. Or what you can do is you can bruise it out with stuff like Jumbos or with the 76 Sherman and be able to try and take them on in that way. The Black Cat as well, if you compare it to the standard Hellcat, it's basically the same vehicle in function. It doesn't have well, it has slight differences, but they're only really aesthetic in the game. If you have a look at the Hellcat that's in the tree, you can see that it has, you know, some side skirts on it. It also has a muzzle brake on it, whereas the Black Cat doesn't, but they functionally have the same gun, they have the same ammunition, they have the same pretty much everything. So yeah, functionally they are the same, whereas the Black Cat, I suppose, has slightly less armor, if you want to put it like that, but the Hellcat Hellcat normally gets hull broken anyway, so the armor values doesn't really work. But if you're a person who likes running around, if you're a person who likes, you know, doing events and stuff, I would definitely say this is a good pickup because of the fact that you can run it with that 5-7 lineup. It's a really strong one, really fun to play, and as I said, it gives you an initial advantage in a game by getting a cap, getting a few kills, and then from there being able to push on from the overall battle, which is very, very important, especially in ground forces. So yeah, I would say the M18 is a good pickup. The next one is the Black Prince. Now, the Black Prince is kind of opposite to the Hellcat. It's at 6.0 in realistic, and therefore it doesn't really have a lineup around it. Why do I have a test drive for this thing? I already have it spaded. Oh, anyway. So, when it comes to the when it comes to the Black Prince, so the Black Prince sets itself at 6.0, therefore it doesn't have a lineup around it at 6.0. The closest thing you have is the Centurion Mark 1 and the Challenger, and then also the Charioteer if you up-tier it. But you don't want to up-tier the Black Prince. The Black Prince has a very, very specific playstyle which relies on it being at its tier or being down-tiered because it is a slow, heavy tank. If you have a look at the ground-pounding options as well, or CAS options, you have pretty much nothing at 6.0 apart from a Tempest, which is a pretty good pickup, if I'm honest with you. It has the 1,000-pounders, I believe, which is, you know, quite nice to have. You know, guaranteed kill, and then you can run the air superiority gauntlet, or you can bring in, you know, some of the early Griffin Spits, which are really, really fun to fly as well. So you could bring those guys in and have a bit of fun with it. But the Black Prince being the sole tank at 6.0 is not good. You don't want to base a lineup around one specific vehicle, especially if it is this Black Prince. So the Black Prince relies on a few things. First of all, it relies on its armor heavily because of the fact that it's quite slow. Now you can angle it pretty effectively, you know, 182 millimeters on the front plate, 199 on the lower glacis, and then on the turret 168 to 184 and 200. In a down tier or at its tier, this can be incredibly strong. It also means that the weak spots that this thing has are quite small when it comes to the front. If we compare it to, let's say, if you get down tiered into Germany and I don't know, they're running like a Panther or something. Let's just make sure we get the correct shell on it. You can see that even with the down tier, there are parts of the upper glacis that, you know, you can just go straight through. But if you angle it effectively, as you can see here, it's a lot harder to go through this. But the fact is, when it comes to the Black Prince, the general idea of it is you can basically still, you know, angle it effectively, and you can still make the armor work. But a lot of the time it's not going to, especially if they see you straight on. Even stuff like a Panther will just go straight through that front plate and absolutely annihilate you. So that's generally a big issue. You can also shoot through there, shoot through the wonderful breach and just knock it out. So yeah, the armor itself is not grand. It's also very slow as a general vehicle, which has its issues around the battlefield. It's 50 tons with a 350 horsepower engine, so it just chugs about. But one of the nice things about this heavy tank is it does have access to the 17-pounder, and it does get access to the APDS on the 17-pounder. So you're quite a slow platform with the 17-pounder, and what that basically means is that you are able to, you know, move around at a very slow place, but you'll have a stabilized 17-pounder to help you out. So it's stabilized by your speed and not actually by mechanism, and that means that you can just wander about and just pretty much shoot whatever you want and just keep pushing forward. Use yourself as a battering ram against the enemy. Now on larger maps, this is going to be completely useless. On city maps, this works pretty well. You can tie down a street pretty effectively, and it is kind of hard to one-shot this thing unless you give up that, you know, front plate that we talked about before right here. So yeah, it's a rough vehicle to use. It's a fun vehicle just to like chill with. You know, if you've had a long day, you can just wander around in a Black Prince or a Churchill. But yeah, it's not going to be one which is going to help you grind that much. If you want that, the Centurion Action X is obviously the pick of the bunch. Now, the last vehicle, the KA-50. The K50 is a completely different story compared to everything else. The K50 is a monster when it wants to be. It can do whatever it wants. It only really is secondary to the K52, its brother in the tech tree, and it dominates stuff such as helicopter EC, I suppose the PvE stuff, and also top-tier ground. It has pretty much everything you would want from a helicopter. It has access to Vickers missiles, and these Vickers have a firing range of 10 kilometers. Most people fire them a little bit shorter though. They can pen whatever they want and have a bit of fun with it. Alongside, you know, these, you can also bring some 23s or rockets if you feel like it. But yeah, I suppose alongside the Vickers, if you want to, you can also bring some Iglas. So therefore you can deal with anything air-to-air wise. And if you don't want to use the Iglas, guess what? The Vickers have proximity rounds or proximity heads. So that basically means that you can use these as air-to-air stuff and not just, you know, air-to-ground. The K50 has been very strong for a very long time. It has access to flares, it has access to pretty much everything. The only thing it doesn't have is access to thermals, and guess what? The K52 does. This is easily a very good purchase. It will fit in with all of your Soviet top-tier ground units, you know, all of your tanks, which are incredibly good. And the other thing is, a lot of people complain about the helicopter grind when it comes to the game. Well, the K50 is fully modified when you get it, and also you get premium bonuses on it of 696, 750 to be able to grind out the rest of the tree. This thing is insane. It's been insane for more than a year now, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So if we do a quick recap, the P61 is probably a no-go. The Black Cat, yep, I think it's a good pickup. Then the Black Prince, not really, unless you like just wandering around in a British tank. And the K50 is a definite yes. So yeah, that's about it when it comes to the Black Friday sale. I would not recommend buying it. I would wait until some of these premiums go on 50% off, maybe around Christmas or the summer, and pick them up there. But if you want to get the pack, you know, make sure to do so. Make sure to use a discount code that you can find on the internet. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank John Ryman, Universe, Conte Baraka, Elove Goat, Trigger Hippie, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez B. Young, and also Hans Vergellen, Sebastian Mizon, and Samuel Schlick for supporting the channel.